The Miami Dolphins have begun the purge. Some names we expected, one name in particular we did not, but it hails and harks back to the fact that I've been saying corner's a quiet need for the Miami Dolphins in this draft, and it just may have become an even higher one. We will talk about the releases today. Also, the Dolphins, are they in need of a major culture change and shock? We all know the answer to that, but where does the culture change start from? We will discuss that and so much more. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you are new. And as always, let's get into this episode powered by BetUS.
Loses the football. Touchdown! Got it!
You have got to be kidding me.
Jalen Waddle has a Dolphin touchdown. And he will score!
Field down the near side, man open. Touchdown!
The run from Tua Tagovailoa.
Touchdown!
He's going deep. It's going over the touchdown again.
Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan.
Let's go!
What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason. We're back here for another one. Do me the favor as you come through, smash that like button. And Jose reminding us of the stark reality. Raheem Mostert is going to have to be taken out of my intro. Here we go. You know what? Hey, you got to feel for some of them. Kendall Fuller, yesterday was his birthday. Today, Cupid sure as hell didn't shoot an arrow your way. So we're going to talk about all the releases and a little bit more. Before we do, I do have a couple things I want to talk about. Number one, I haven't done this in a while at all. So let's do it. It's Friday. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Let's do a Friday roll call. Greg Sosa, Bat Dad, Scotty, Al Francisco, Elpad, Jim McEwen, SETI Alpha 5, Robert Thomason, Fox in around, Scotty, Brian 35, John Featherland. Who else we got here? Omar Brown, James Steele. I think I said Pro Special. Timothy Washington. Marino's Goat. What's going on? How are you doing? OG right there, Marino's Goat. Jose Villarreal. Nick Queck, Scotty Joe 22, Eminem, D Hugga All Day, Ken Rosa, Lance White, Paulie King, Dean Smith, Franklin Higgins, Arlene Payne, Roberto, AJR 305, Justin Vanderberg, the homie, welcome to the Pro Bowl level, Isaiah Mullins. What up, Knight? There's the homie Knight. Tommy Tremonte, Scott Pro. Shout out to all of you in the chat. Another thing, I want to talk to the community. M Cord, how you doing? I saw a post yesterday, and I know for some reason it just gets under people's craw when I remind people about things I've been right about or whatever the case may be. And I've explained this once before, twice before, 3 times before. Hell, I'll explain it for a 4th time. The reason why I state and remind of my accuracy is multiple levels. Number one, you could have first-time viewers tuning in who have never seen me before, never heard me before. So therefore, when they see or hear about an accurate track record, that gives them more reason to listen and take in what I'm saying instead of being dismissive of it right away. That's number one. Number two, some of y'all in the community consistently need reminding that I am about much more than Tua Tagovailoa. People always want to talk about Tua this, Tua that, Tua this, Tua that. Brother, there's 53 men on a roster. There's 90 men that on a roster heading into training camp. Okay? I am, one of the specials of this channel is the draft. And guess what? When it comes to drafting and evaluating, being right and having a good accuracy, whether it's your team drafting or on player evaluations alone, that builds you credibility when it comes to drafting and knowing the draft and knowing teams' tendencies and player evaluations. So guess what? Yeah, I'm going to remind y'all about players I've been right about, whether the Dolphins drafted them or not, especially if I have massive pushback like I had for Penei Sewell, like I had for Cooper DeJean, etc., etc. Guys who end up being absolute stars in their first year and look like they're going to be stars all throughout their NFL career. So yeah, I'm going to remind you. All right? And then third of all, you got some people in this community that actually want to try and push the narrative that I don't know what I'm talking about. And by discussing my accuracy, discussing my hits, discussing what I've been right about, that right there negates that narrative. So there's a 3-level triple-decker answer for you of why I do what I do. And number 1, for new viewers, that's the main one. Number 4 could be some people forget and they need to be reminded. As simple as that. So there's multiple levels. And quite frankly, if you don't like me talking about my accuracy, I mean, you can kick rocks for all I care, really. You know what I mean? I mean, one of the things about being a content creator, especially a sports content creator, accuracy matters. No one bats perfect at all. Perfection is unattainable. It is literally a figment of imagination. Perfection will never be attained. But having a high accuracy and hit rate, sorry, yeah, I'm going to talk about that, especially when I have one of the highest in the community. And I'm not even just talking about YouTube. I'm talking about the Dolphins community in general. So yeah, I'm going to talk about it. And I don't care whether people like it or not. New subs need to hear it. People who try to say I don't know what I'm talking about need to have those narratives killed, and some people just flat out need to be reminded. So there you go. All right? So not everyone is a hardcore watcher of Phinside The NFL and never misses never misses a word I say. Some people miss certain takes. Some people miss certain evaluations. So, yeah. If you got a problem with me talking about I'm right, go to bed at night and pray that I'm wrong more so I don't talk about it. That's all I can say to you. All right? So I got to get that off my chest. People out here trying to tell me how to run my channel and what to do. Okay, bud. So, you know, just pray to your gods that I'm wrong more than I am right, because it ain't been working if you have been. And so keep praying and pray a little harder, then maybe I won't talk about how right I am for all of you that got a problem with it. So let's get that out of the way. All right? Now, I am heading to Vegas on Sunday. Flight might be delayed because we got about 12, 13 inches of snow yesterday. We're expecting another 12 to 13 inches this Saturday, tomorrow night. So that might delay my flight. I might be leaving on Monday. Either way, I've already recorded a few videos that will be dropping while I am out. So if I leave Sunday, like the plan is, my first video will drop Monday, and then I will drop Wednesday. If I'm leaving Monday, I'll probably still drop that video Monday, and then I'm going to drop the other video on Wednesday. Monday's video is going to be about a half-hour video, and I really think y'all are going to be interested in this topic because I make a very good case about acquiring a player. So you're going to want to watch that video, okay? That's number 1. Number 2, the second video, had a great sit down with Alf Arteaga from 3 Yards Per Carry, one of my good buddies in this community. We sat down to record at 9:30. We didn't hit record till 11:30. We were just chopping it up for 2 hours. So that will be coming your way too. That's a very, very, very good episode full of nothing but information. So y'all are gonna want. We talk a lot about stuff. We drop some nuggets in there about free agency and the draft. So you guys are gonna want to honestly tune in and watch that. It's going to be a great, I know last year when I had him on, during right before training camp started. Y'all ate it all up, so brought him back. Can't wait to drop that for you guys. So, and hey, if I'm feeling frisky, I might even record a third video because I got a whole bunch of ideas for you guys for while I'm gone. So I'm scheduled to be back Thursday. If it gets delayed till Monday, I won't be back till Friday, but don't worry, the content will keep coming. And when I get back a week after that, the combine starts, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to Vegas next week because Tuesday is my birthday. So I'm celebrating my birthday in Vegas with the wife this year. So usually I go live with you guys. It's the first year since I've had this channel. I haven't gone live on my birthday. So I'll be missing all y'all. But don't worry, as soon as I get back, we'll be going live and covering everything that I missed. All right? So, Eminem, we're going to talk about Fuller. We're going to talk about everything. All right? Appreciate you, Brian35. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you, Tony. Thank you. Hey, man, I was the first one, that admitted, hey, I might be wrong about Austin Jackson. And then I came back and said, no, I was right. And then we got McDaniel. And I told all y'all McDaniel would fix him. And really, he has. He just can't stay healthy. I came out here and admitted I was wrong about Jamar Chase as soon as it happened. Jamar Chase is my biggest whiff. I took that on the chin. I came out here and I admitted first year, not even halfway into the season, I was like, yeah, I'm wrong about Jamar Chase. I didn't even wait a half a season. I was like, yeah, I'm wrong. No problem. I got no problem admitting when I'm wrong. That's called being a man, right? Hey, and that's, okay, see, that's another thing that comes with taking, you know what, let's keep on this for a sec. Another reason why I think people have the right to brag about accuracy. Think about this. Go through the YouTube community, especially with the draft. Who puts their neck out there with as many draft takes in the YouTube community, in the Dolphins YouTube community, than me? Dolphins specific, strictly Dolphins content creators, not draft guys that are Dolphin fans or draft guys in general, but Dolphin creators who cover the draft. No one puts their neck out on takes more than I do. So when you are as accurate as I am, you got all the right in the world, because guess what? Part of the thing about doing what I do and doing what all these content creators do is you got to have a set on you. And you got to have a set with player takes, free agent takes, draft takes, etc., etc. Now, again, I don't stick to just Tua. This isn't a channel that all I talk about is Tua because the quarterback position is the easiest position to break down, even for the casual fan, because they hold the ball the most. That's not what we do over here. So that's another thing. When people are very accurate and very right, yeah, they got the right to remind you. You know why? Because they put their ass out there for takes where you guys have the ability to come back and say, you were wrong. This was a terrible take. What an awful take. You're an idiot. You're this. You're that. You know how many things I've been called over football takes? Okay? And it takes that end up being 110% right on down the line. Not one take on a quarterback position. I'm talking about all positions, coaching staff, front office, etc., draft, everything. Man, all the time. All the time. When people are constantly putting down your takes or calling you an idiot, and it happens to all content creators, when you are consistently right about multiple positions, about multiple evaluations from the draft, about etc., you got the right to talk about it a little bit, man. You really do. So, oh, buddy, don't tease me, Teddy. Anyone who's been watching me through this draft season knows I am praying that man drops to 13. Good God, please, Lord, let Will Johnson drop to us. Let's get into this, because now you got me all fired up to talk about the releases today, brother. Now you got me all gassed up. We're going to talk about it. Before we do, shout out to BetUS, the sponsor of this channel. 2025 NFL free agency is about to begin. Top players is set to hit the market. I want to know in the chat, or if you are watching this after we are live, let me know down below, which one of these 10 players would you want the Miami Dolphins to sign? Personally, I'm Trey Smith all day here. But out of these players, who would you want the Miami Dolphins to sign this offseason? Let me know. And when it comes to all your betting needs, go over and use betus.com. right now as your number one sportsbook and betting app. Use promo code YouTube150. That's YouTube150. Get your first 3 deposits matched by 150% up to $2,000. Some of the quickest payouts in the industry. 24/7 customer service. Shout out to BetUS for sponsoring the channel. I'm taking Trey Smith, baby, all day. I like it. I know. I like it. I love it, man. I like this answer. Milton Williams. I like that. Hey, I like that. You guys are good. I like it. You know what? You can't go wrong. I'm going to be honest with you. You cannot go wrong with Milton Williams. You ain't going to hear anything negative from me for anyone saying Milton Williams. That's a good pick right there, especially after what we just saw in the Pro Bowl. That man is a dog. Huh? That man is a legitimate dog. So, man, I like it. Shout out to the Milton Williams picks. All right, let's get into it. We got a lot to go over. And it all started just a few hours ago. Now, it started, Raheem Mostert was originally announced being released, and then it kind of blew up a little bit. The Miami Dolphins announced they've released Kendall Fuller, Raheem Mostert, and Durham Smythe. Kendall Fuller, I am actually shocked. What I'm more shocked about, they didn't designate it as a post-June 1st cut. Like, that is completely and utterly shocking to me. They ripped the Band-Aid off. They said, you know what? Screw saving the extra pennies, rip it off, let it go. In one hand, you look at it and you're like, man, why didn't you just wait? On the other hand, you're like, man, hey, you know what? You guys are showing some, a set on you. I mean, you guys tweeted out happy birthday to Kendall Fuller yesterday, and the next day y'all sent him packing. And Durham Smythe, the longest tenured player on the roster, done. And they're taking on about a $5.4 million dead cap hit, letting Fuller walk. So they saved $2.95 million with the Raheem Mostert cut. They take on about 2.95 they took on $1 million in cap. Kendall Fuller about 2.76 million free. That's how much they freed in cap, but they took on 5.4 million in dead cap. Durham Smythe, you're saving 2.175 million. So between the three players, you're saving about 7.889 million. You're saving about $7.9 million. But the dead cap you're taking on because of the 5.4 with Kendall Fuller, you're taking on 9.06 million in dead cap, and 5.4 million of that is coming from Kendall Fuller. That's, and I get it, like the injuries, he had some concussions, the concussions were real. The concussions were definitely real. There's no doubt about it. He suffered 2 concussions this year. Couldn't stay on the field. But, man, and all of a sudden, guys, let's be real here. Let's keep it $150. All of a sudden, corner is a massive need. You're not putting Kohu to the boundary. He's a slot. Now, he's going to come back because he's an RFA, I believe. He'll be back. Cam Smith ain't ready. Like, Cam Smith is not ready at all. I'm telling you. Now, you look at who's out there. DJ Reed's out there. Charvarius Ward is out there. Rasul Douglas, Carlton Davis, Asante Samuel Jr. You know, I'm not going to lie to you, man. If I see Will Johnson slipping a little bit, I'm trading up. You know, I'm trading up. I'm not even lying to you. You know, I just think, I mean, you know, once you get past, like, DJ Reed, Charvarius Ward, Rasul Douglas, and Carlton Davis, like, this is a very weak free agency class. Let me just say that once, and let me put that out there. Okay? You know, like, Asante Samuel is probably, like, the 4th or 5th best corner out there, and that guy's, you thought we had tackling problems against Green Bay. The guy missed, like, more than 20% of his tackles last year. You know, and then you look at, like, you know, DJ Reed has always been a good number 2, you know, over there to Sauce, but he's probably going to get paid. Charvarius Ward probably going to get paid. Like, I don't see them investing $15 million in another corner. Like, do they go out and get Stephon Gilmore for cheap? Honestly, man, and you look at this draft, there are some studs in this draft. Like, there are some legitimate studs in this draft, and we're just talking about corner right now. Don't worry, we're going to move on to the other positions in a second here. Don't you worry, and we got you. But, I mean, obviously they're not going to have a shot at Travis Hunter. I don't think they'll have a shot at Will Johnson. Me and Neil have talked about it for a while. I think they're going to be real high on a Jahdae Barron from Texas because of where he can play. Maybe they like Azariah Thomas from Florida State. I'm a fan of Denzel Burke. Me and Neil have also talked about, we feel like a guy Greer would really, really lock in on is Benjamin Morrison from Notre Dame. I think Greer would absolutely love Benjamin Morrison. Maybe they like a Siobhan Revel. Trey Amos was really, you know, Trey Amos, again, we go back to all the great players coming out of Ole Miss, and, you know, Trey Amos is one of those. So, I like, it's a good, you know, Travis Hunter, Will Johnson, Jahdae Barron, Siobhan Revel, Denzel Burke, Benjamin Morrison, Trey Amos, you know, Azariah Thomas, like I mentioned. I mean, there are some good corners in this class, for real. And it looks like, man, pending a good free agency, corner might be a sneaky need for this team. Well, no longer sneaky. It might be a real need heading into the draft for this team. Legit. Yeah, Kobe Bryant too, beast. Yeah, there's this corner class, I tell you, man. This corner class is good, man. There's it's what's crazy is, you know what this draft is? This is a draft where you want a ton of picks between 40 and 100. Like, the strength of this class isn't in the top 25 players. It's in like 25 to, it's in the like back, it's not in the first quarter of the draft of the top 100 and the first 25 players. It's like the last 3 quarters, the last 75 players. That's where you want a lot of picks. You know, that's where you want a lot of picks. It's a good class, man. You know, Darian Porter too, like Zy Alexander. It's a good class. It is a good class. So, man, it's interesting to see. Kendall Fuller was a shock. I don't think a lot of us expected the Kendall Fuller thing to hit the way it did. That was a shock to a lot of us. Who is Will Johnson? Will Johnson is from Michigan. Go watch him. Oh, go watch Will Johnson. Listen, if he didn't have the injuries he's had, I think he's better corner than Travis Hunter. Yeah, Quincy Riley from Louisville, he's a stud too. I had him, I believe we had him on our Senior Bowl players, right? I believe I had him on our Senior Bowl players. Yeah, I love Armand Membo. Armand Membo is making my man crush list this year. Locked in. He's, I have Will Campbell as a tackle and a guard. If I moved Will Campbell to just pure guard, Membo would be my number 2 tackle. But because I have Campbell as a tackle right now, Membo is my number 3 tackle instead of number 2. So, but man, that guy, and he can play inside out. Like, I love him, man. I like Gray Zabel too, but you don't need in the first round. We're talking about like 13, right? So, man, we'll see. We'll see. But let's keep going with these players here. Now, I got a couple other things to talk about. Tight end, Durham Smythe, out the door. Is this really a surprise? You put all your eggs in the Julian Hill basket, got nothing in return, but in return, you killed Durham Smythe's confidence as a player. Like, you did that to yourself with Durham Smythe. And again, I'm going to go back to this, and I'm not trying to be harsh, but John Embry is seen as a tight end mastermind. All right, Frank Smith has a reputation of molding tight ends, right? Darren Waller and converting guys. Y'all let Elijah Higgins out the door, who's actually produced for Arizona, and you've invested time in Tanner Connor, who gave us nothing, Julian Hill, who's a mitigated disaster. And honestly, I've said this before, I'll say it again. You would have been better off having Hayden Rucci on the 53 as opposed to Julian Hill. Hayden Rucci, to me, is a more intriguing prospect or player or development project than Julian Hill. Julian Hill is not good. I'm sorry. I don't see it. Haven't seen it from the beginning. Still don't see it. I don't know if I will see it. But all of a sudden, tight end and it was already a need. We already knew it was a little bit of a need. Now, here's where your problem lies. The free agency class at tight end, ladies and gentlemen, you want to talk about not good? I don't even know if that begins to describe the tight end class. Jawan Johnson is like, I honestly, the only guys I would look at sign are Tyler Conklin or Zach Ertz. Like, Mike Gesicki, no thanks. Jawan Johnson, not what we need. Again, like corner, super deep draft. Which is why I'm not down. Yes, Tyler Warren's my top tight end, but give me Tyler Warren in like the late 20s or the top of the second round. At 13, are you crazy? When I can go get, I think a sneaky guy that they're going to like is Harold Fannin out of Bowling Green. He can play the slot. He can play in line. He can play H-back. He can play fullback. And he's got dynamic playmaking ability. I think Harold Fannin is a guy that makes sense for them. Mason Taylor would love it. Would love continuing the bloodline, right? Again, guys you can get on day 2. Gunnar Helm. When you look at Brock Bowers, and Brock Bowers as a playmaker, Gunnar Helm's probably the closest thing to Brock Bowers as a playmaker in this draft. He just needs to be developed as a blocker, but he's decent and he's willing already. All you Hurricane fans, Elijah Arroyo, me, Luke Lachey, you could probably get him on day 3 when, if not for the injuries, if he would have came out last year in the draft, if not for the injuries, he probably would have been Sam Laporta type of hype, and he would have been a early second round pick. And then you got Jake Brenningstool. You got a class here. It's a deep class. There's legitimately like what, 8 guys? It's arguably the deepest tight end class in the last couple decades. So, yeah, and honestly, I would have added Julian Hill's name to that bunch. Please, God. So, yeah, I just, I think you can find, you look at how you can find guys who can block and offer you something after the catch without spending. Listen, I think it's crazy that Tyler Warren, and it's because of Brock Bowers. I think it's crazy that we're talking about a tight end in this class as deep as it is going in the top 15 because there is no Brock Bowers in this class. So I think it's crazy. I mean, and some teams have Colston Loveland higher than Tyler Warren on their board. Now, I don't agree with that. I think Tyler Warren is the best tight end, in this class. But again, 13, way too rich, man. Way too rich when you look at a value proposition for the draft and positions. Now, Raheem Mostert, he's cut. I think Jeff Wilson obviously would not be returning. Another thing you can watch here, Jalen Wright's probably going to get more reps. I know the team seemed to have been disappointed in his pass pro efforts, considering coming out, he was, that was one of the strengths to his game. And he was arguably, when we drafted him, he was viewed as the best pass pro guy in our running back room. And, he had some whiffs last season, and I know they were not too happy about that. But, you look at free agency again. What are you going to add here? Where do we go here? They're not going to add Aaron Jones. I don't think they're going to add a Najee Harris. They're certainly not going to add Nick Chubb. Is this where, and I don't want to see this, but does McDaniel go in his bag and go get Elijah Mitchell because he was the one that wanted him coming to San Francisco? Is that what it's going to be? A guy who's always injured, but you were in love with him when you're in San Francisco. You're going to try and bring him in here to try to make it work. I don't. Now, again, we've talked about tight end. We talked about corner. The great thing about this is, guess what? This is a deep, deep class at running back. This is a very, very deep class at running back. Now, two guys that I really like and are probably going to be my man crushes when this is all said and done are Caleb Johnson out of Iowa and Quinshawn Judkins out of Ohio State. But I mean, Genty's going to be gone, but Amarian Hampton, Trayvon Henderson, Ollie Gordon, Cam Scatabo, Damian Martinez for all of you out there. Nick Singleton from Penn State, Trevor Etienne coming out. There's a lot of good running backs coming out in this draft class. A lot of good running backs. All right? It's a pretty stacked and pretty deep class when you look at it. I mean, Ollie Gordon coming out. It's a pretty stacked class. It just depends on, hey, what's your flavor? Right? What is your flavor? I know a lot of people are sleeping on Taj Brooks. I know a lot of people are sleeping on Taj Brooks out of Texas Tech. This draft is stacked. This is, again, another draft where it feels like another position where it feels like all three of these positions, tight end, running back, all these positions that they just released, cornerback, these are deep, pretty deep classes. So, that's, I don't know, man. That's That's what's crazy about it to me, is how deep this class is. And all three of the positions they happen to release these players at are all deep classes. Like, you want to know a kid who's really good and that no one's talking about? When you're talking about running back, I don't know if anyone's had a chance to watch his tape in the chat yet. You know, Bayshul Tootin from Virginia Tech. I don't know if you guys have had, you know, a chance to watch him yet. Bayshul Tootin. But he's a stud. I'll put his name in the chat if you guys don't know who I'm talking about. But yeah, he was at Virginia Tech and he used to be North Carolina A&T. Again, a guy who's probably going to slip to like day 3. You don't have to spend a high pick. You can get your trenches. You can focus on building out, you know, because I think we need defensive tackle help. I think we need offensive line help, obviously. I think we need tight end help, right? We need receiver depth. We probably going to need a third running back. You know, we need at least one more linebacker. We need corners. That safety room's going to have to be rebuilt. Got a lot of holes. So I'm looking for guys, especially a running back, where let me ask you this. Do any of you care what we're picking in the 5th, 6th, or 7th round? Hell no. You really don't. Now, there's going to be guys you'd prefer we take that might be on the board still that you like, but at the end of the day, you know, it's the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th round picks where, okay, you got to hit on these. 5th, 6th, 7th is like, okay, scouting department, show us what you got. And what's great about these 3 releases is these are 3 positions that they're not that great in free agency, but they are pretty deep when it comes to the draft. So, you know, and I think that's another guy who, man, you know, Bayshul Tootin, everyone's, you know, not enough people are talking about him, you know, and that's a guy who, because of that, he could be there, you know, in that. I mean, we're talking about a guy coming off 1,100 season, averaging 6.3 yards per carry and 15 touchdowns, you know, and he's been a pretty good receiver all his career. So, you know, and he offers you a little bit of a return ability too if you want to put him out there on punts. So, you know, these are the guys. You know, a running back, yeah, we got depth there, but because it's such a deep class and because running backs aren't already valued, find your day 3 gems. You know, find your day 3 gems at that position. So, but man, I'm telling you that running back class, it's something else. There's a lot of talent this year. A lot of talent. I love Caleb. Oh, man. I'm telling you, if we got our hands on him, he'll be gone. But, like, you know, like you'd have to spend a day 2 pick on him for sure. Like 110%. But, man, I'd love Caleb Johnson in this offense. Holy jeez. Yeah, I like Elijah Arroyo in the 3rd, man. Makes sense, right? So, all right, let's keep it going because we got more. We ain't done. Yeah, I like Ollie Gordon from Oklahoma State. He's a good player. Does Miami need a culture change? And does it need to start with their star wide receiver? Jeff Darlington had this to say on ESPN, and I did want to talk about it and cover it.
Listen, I don't want to overstate this to the point where I'm suggesting that it's going to be over by any means, but the Dolphins definitely have a culture issue to address this offseason, and it starts with their star players, one of which is Tyreek Hill. If you're in a relationship and you get in a big fight and you start throwing around the word divorce, you can't just a couple days later be like, that old thing, I was just kidding around, that didn't mean anything. Because your spouse in the back of their mind is going to start wondering, well, why did you bring that up? And that's going to linger into the offseason. So that's all well and good that Tyreek Hill said that he feels responsible for what he says. It's important to be accountable. but you've got to still wonder what the Dolphins are thinking behind the scenes. No, I don't think that this is necessarily going to lead to a trade because of contractual reasons, among others. But I do think that this is the start of a culture change in Miami, and I do believe it begins with Tyreek Hill.
So, the culture change, he says it starts with Tyreek Hill. Yeah, it does, but is the message going to be sent? Listen, I said what I had to say with Neil. If you guys mend the fences with them, there's no way this guy should be allowed to be a captain on this team. No way whatsoever. This guy checked out on you. When the going got tough, Tyreek got going. And you cannot have that in the locker room. You cannot have one of your leaders. And let's be honest, it really felt like Tua's not playing. I'm not interested. Go back and listen to his post game. What did I've referenced it how many times? Listen to what he said. He was clearly taking shots at McDaniel. I just missed quarterback 1, man. I just missed 2-0, man. You know what he's telling you? I can't win with these people without him. That's what he's telling you. I got no faith that we can win and I can get my production without him in the lineup. I don't have faith in this roster. I don't have faith in this coaching staff. I don't have faith. That's what he was telling you. I don't know how you can keep that around. I really don't. I go back to it, and I reference it every time we talk about this. Because Richmond is one of my dear friends, and it always takes me aback when I think about what Richmond said and how Richmond was very candid about a guy who's been in the locker room and saying, hey, man, I don't care how good of a player you were. I can't trust you now. And you could almost get the sense that kind of broke Richmond's heart a little bit. You know what I mean? That's why that sticks with me, his reaction to it. Because I've never also seen Richmond's always been positive. Glass is always half full. And that was the first time I really ever heard him be half empty on a Dolphins player. And it was because of what Tyreek did. And it's just resonated with me, what Richmond said, man. It just really has. And I just can't get that out of my head that's what the other guys got to be feeling. And now you are we're going back to the draft here. Now you are in a draft class where, everyone knows, I feel like Ted McMillan is Drake London on steroids. And everyone knows, hey, if he's there at 8 or 9, yeah, I would be calling up and saying, hey, can I move up a couple of spots? Is he available? Can I move up and go get Tet? I don't want Luther Burden. Now, a guy I think that they could take is Emeka Buka, and I've been trying to warn you guys how good of a route runner he is, how good of a pass blocker he is. He can play the slot, he can play the boundary. And, they had the fascination for Roma Dunze last draft, and they were sniffing around to move up if he slipped out of the top 10. So, I feel like wide receiver is another sneaky one. But again, there's guys that fit what we want to do, right? Like Emeka Buka fits what we want to do. You know what I mean? Alik Manor kind of fits what we want to do. Savion Williams fits what we want to do. Jaden Higgins from Iowa State fits what we want to do. It's even, Jack Besh, he fits what we want to do from TCU. There's guys in this draft that fit what we need at that position, and I think, again, hopefully someone's sitting there in the 3rd or 4th round and we can go snatch that. But, I wouldn't be shocked if they're already starting to plan for future without, let's look at it this way. Okay. Think about this. What if Banks? What if Campbell's gone? What if Graham and Grant are gone? Travis Hunter's gone. Will Johnson's gone. Ted McMillan's gone. a lot of these blue chippers, what if they're gone by the time we get to 13 and Emeka Egbuka is actually one of the best players on the board? You know? Listen, I've got my own theories. Nothing really like I can tell you that's sourced information. But I mean, you could tell, like, I mean, you know, do the timeline. You know, over the last 2 seasons, Tua's got a little bit more firmer with Tyreek, right? You know, we've heard stories about them both mentioning Tua yelling and checking Tyreek in the huddle. You know, and you know what? We know Tua's been frustrated because Mike McDaniel and Tua have mentioned multiple times about interceptions that have happened because of Tyreek running the wrong route. So I do think there is some frustration there. And then you look at this, man, like Tua's one of the, you know, bona fide leaders that those guys, contrary to what these people want to tell you, that these guys follow. And so, yeah, he's probably, but listen to what he said. He also apologized to all of his teammates. I think he needed to apologize. He apologized to all of his teammates. It wasn't just Tua too, right? Like, I think he was kind of mocking and lying when he said, sorry, Tua, you know, but bro, now 48, Jonah Savannah, run it to the podium, baby. Run it. I'm going to tell you this. If we come out with Kenneth Grant and Jonah Savannah as our first 2 picks, I'm happier than a pig, and you know what? If we come out with Armand Membo and Dion Walker as our first 2 picks, I'm happier than a pig, and you know what? You know, if we come out with Jonah Savannah and Armand Membu as our first 2 picks, I'm happier than a pig, and you know what? Trenches. Let's go, baby. I'm down. I am down. You know, I'm down. And yeah, you know, I know you guys are talking about the apology with Tyreek. Listen, that's why I'm pissed off about it too, guys and gals. Like, you go out on Kay Adams, you go on Pro Football Talk, you do your whole song and dance. I forget what I said. I want to stay in Miami, blah, 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 blah. And then behind the scenes, you got his camp telling one guy, yeah, watch out for the Chargers. Then you got Tyreek Hill telling a Cowboys fan, hey, yeah, I'd even play running back for the Cowboys if they need me to. Like, bro, use this. God gave you one. Use it. Are we serious right now? You want to get out of here? You're going to be out of here quicker if you shut your mouth, put your head down, and work. If you're going to go out there and talk all this trash and you're going to lower your value, the Dolphins are not going to turn around and trade you for peanuts. They're not going to trade Tyreek Hill for a 5th-round pick when Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel are in a must-win year, and then look at him as a 1,500-yard plus receiver if Tua stays healthy. They are not going to turn around and trade that for a 5th-round pick, bro. Not going to happen. They're going to want a 2nd and a 4th, a 3rd and a 5th. They're going to want a 2nd with something else or a 3rd with something else. They are not going to want a 5th-round pick. And, bro, you're just killing your value, and you're killing them being able to work behind the scenes by doing that type of stuff. And you know what, man? Like, I warned you guys. I had a feeling that they were just playing nice. And the Dolphins were checking to see what they could get behind the scenes. So when you see this guy going up there and apologizing and doing his little song and dance, but then behind the scenes, him and his camp are talking about the Cowboys and the Chargers to people, what does that tell you? That tells you that Rosenhaus probably said, yo, when the lights go on, play nice. When the lights go off, and here's another thing. Take out the fact that his camp watched him tell someone about going and playing running back for the Cowboys. His camp is telling someone, watch out for the Chargers. What does that tell you, ladies and gentlemen? That they've had the conversation in private, Tyreek and his camp. That it's more than the trolling he claims it was when he was liking posts about the Chargers being the #1 betting odd team to land him. What does this tell us? That they've had private conversations, him and his camp, and he said, man, I'd love to go to the Chargers. You think Harbaugh's going to put up with this shit? You really think Harbaugh's going to say, yeah, like, let's go. Yeah, I'd love Banks at 13, but, you know, like, you think Harbaugh's going to put up with that? He's going to say, get bent. That's what he's going to say. So, I don't know what you're doing and what this is. And, like you know, it doesn't stop with this guy. It's one thing after another. Like, let's talk about this. I don't know if you guys saw this. Did you guys see this? Did you guys happen to go ahead and see this? Check this out in People magazine. Look at this. NFL star Tyreek Hill and Olympian Noah Lyles race is officially on, and they're already trash talking. It's the fastest man in the world versus the fastest man on the gridiron. After a series of public jabs at one another, Olympic gold medalist Noah Lyles and Miami Dolphins star Tyreek Hill will officially race one another. This has been an ongoing thing for quite some time now, and I mean, everybody's seen the back and forth on social media. I've been very adamant to show people what real true speed looks like. I mean, like, are we serious? Like, are we serious right now? I got a couple things about this. Number one, okay, and cover the ears because I'm about to get real right here, all right? If you got kids watching, get ready to beep it. I'll try to censor myself as much as possible, but it's about to come out. Bro, we haven't won a playoff game in 24 years, and you're worried about some effing race with an Olympian? You got the balls to tell everyone we need more dogs on this team. We need more winners. And instead of being focused on perfecting your craft, working the jug machine so you don't lead the league in drops like you did in 2023, you're worried about sprinting? That's your number one priority? Racing some Olympian? This is what we're doing right now? This is where we're at? What is going on? This is just another distraction. And I got a real question, Tyreek. Did you even run it by the team? There is no way in hell I could see this team being okay with the $30 million wide receiver who just told them, I'm out and quit on you. You're going to let him go run this. Where he can tear a quad, tear a ham, tear something in his leg. You're really gonna let this happen? This is where we're at? Are you serious? But you got the audacity to come out here and tell us we need more dogs? Bro, you just had the worst year of your career since before you were a superstar. And you're worried about racing Noah Lyles? That's where we're at? We haven't won a playoff game in 24 years. We went from week 17 in 2023. You beat the Ravens. You were in the driver's seat for the conference, finishing number one. Failed. You fail against the Buffalo Bills, might I add. Tyreek Hill dropped a 3rd and 7 in the fourth quarter, which would have extended the drive and given us a chance to tie that game, but I digress. You had a chance to win the division. You blew that. So you went from fighting for the number one seed in the AFC to fighting for the division to not even making the playoffs, and our focus right now is racing Noah Lyles. I don't understand this. This is absolute lunacy. Lunacy. And this is just another distraction. That's all it is. I know this much. Brother, never mind Flores. If I was the head coach of that team, you think that would be happening? You've made this guy rich twice over. And this is the dedication he's showing right now. Why? Because it's all about attention. I mean, listen to his quote that we read before I stopped reading that drivel from people. Oh, people have seen our back and forth in social media. Yeah, we have. And guess what, brother? We care more about you and what you guys do on the field than some race between... What are you guys trying to do? What are we doing here? Donovan Bailey versus Ben Johnson? Is that what we're trying to relive here? What are we doing here? Like, well, what's going on? You think we give a F-U-C-K? Do you think we're going to talk to Bills fans and Jets fans and Patriots fans? Oh, well, man, we can't beat the Kansas City Chiefs with Tyreek Hill, but God damn it, he can go out there and beat an Olympic gold medalist at running. Absolutely nothing but hubris. And I'm going to say it right now. I would trade his ass. Especially if we find out he didn't run this by the team. And I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't run it by the team. I'll tell you a story. Put your hand in the chat if you remember the pivot and their episode with Raheem Mostert last year. In the chat, raise your hand if you remember the pivots episode with Raheem Mostert. In the chat, if you remember it, put your hand up. If you remember it, let me know in the chat. I'll give you a minute. Okay, Greg Sosa remembers. All right, I'll give you a minute. Chuck says, yep, he remembers. All right. So we're starting to see people come through and saying they remember. All right. You want to hear something? I'll tell you. I'll give you some background. Pro Special. I'll give you some background on that. Check what? You want to hear something? Did you notice how that episode was shot in the Dolphins facility? Well, guess what? That was originally supposed to be with Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill didn't even run it by the team. The pivot crew showed up and started setting up, and people from the Dolphins communication department came down and said, yo, what the hell is going on here? And they said, oh, we got it set up. We're supposed to do an episode with Tyreek Hill. Guess what? Tyreek Hill left the building. They called Tyreek and they said, yo, Tyreek, the pivot guys are here. And you said, oh, I've already left. I'm gone. I'm not coming back. The communications department, who he did not run this by, had to go find someone in the locker room who were willing to do the pivot episode because they showed up unannounced because no one told the team, and they had to find someone to fill the gap. So they went, and Raheem said, yeah, I'll do it. Are you serious? Like, I'm telling you, that's what we're dealing with right now. And that's just one of many things I've heard that have gone on behind the scenes. So, it is what it is, man. That's why I'm saying, that's why I'm putting out there. I wouldn't be shocked if he didn't even tell the team that he was doing this or confirm with them. And you know what? Shout out to Raheem Mostert. I wanted to move off last offseason, but that right there shows you the type of class act Raheem Mostert is and the type of leader Raheem Mostert was compared to what Tyreek was in that locker room. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Class act, Raheem. I got nothing but respect for you since you came here. On the field and off the field. Absolute class act, Raheem. Wish I could say the same for some of the other leaders on this team. So, yeah. Take that and run with it as you will. Guys, if anything breaks tomorrow, or if my fight gets delayed on Sunday and I'm around, I'll go live. If not, I will be in Vegas come Sunday if it's delayed Monday. And I got some videos coming out for you. First one's going to be about a player I think we should acquire. And I make a really good case for it. So I hope you'll see that. And then also an interview, a discussion with Alf Arteaga from 3 Yards Per Carry. So be on the lookout for those coming your way. Again, if anything breaks this weekend, I'll be back. Wasn't expecting to go live today, but hey, here we are, right? You know, shout out to the Dolphins for never making a holiday go, you know, unnoticed. Is Will Johnson a Dolphin if he's available at 13? God, I hope. Would I look into Bobby Brown? Does that mean I got to bring Whitney? Hey, Knight, does that mean I got to bring Whitney? Because I don't know if I want to bring Whitney around this team right now. All right? I just don't know. I don't know. I'm just messing with you, by the way. Shout out to the finisher. Says these cuts on Valentine's Day, though, when they know these men busy with their families. Seems like they're saying more with these cuts today. They're putting their foot down. And shout out to Pen. She comes through and says, enjoy Vegas, mate. I will. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And as always, shout out to BetUS. You know, go over to betus.com right now. Use promo code YouTube150. That is YouTube150. Get your first 3 deposits matched by 150% up to $2,000. Shout out to BetUS for supporting the channel. I'll see y'all on the next one. And until then, you already know what time it is. Fins up all day, every day. Love y'all. And I'll see y'all. Enjoy the rest of your Valentine's Day. All right? Take it easy.